This morning, the head of the women's tennis tour pressed the big red button.
I am announcing the immediate suspension of all WTA tournaments in China, including Hong Kong.
A month after Chinese double star Peng Shuai first went missing, the tour ramped up the pressure.
The WTA has been clear on what is needed here, and we repeat our call for a full and transparent investigation without censorship into Peng Shuai's sexual assault accusation.
That accusation, levelled against former Communist Party Vice Premier Zhang Li, was posted on Weibo on November 2nd. Within 30 minutes, the post had disappeared, along with Peng herself. Subsequent videos released by Chinese state media have failed to ease concerns for her safety.
We join in the calls for PRC authorities to provide independent and verifiable proof of her whereabouts.
Real proof that she's all right and everything is fine.
In good conscience, I don't see how I can ask our athletes to compete there when Peng Shuai has seemingly been pressured to contradict her allegation of sexual assault.
It's a courageous and costly move from the women's tour.
I think there's 10 tournaments that are played in China. $1 billion they potentially could be losing by not engaging China with their tournaments.
And Chinese authorities aren't exactly welcoming of foreign political interference, such as this response to a prospective boycott of next year's Winter Olympics in Beijing.
The behaviour of politicizing sports activities is out of ideological prejudice.
All lies concocted by anti-China forces will be mercilessly exposed.
But with Peng's safety far from assured, the WTA's been urged to hold its nerve.
They're standing up for every player, for their freedom, for their safety, for everybody that goes to China. And I think this is a really great statement from them.
Helen Davidson is a correspondent for The Guardian, has just returned to Australia from Taiwan, where she's been covering all the developments around Peng Shuai, and she joins us now. Helen, what has the reaction in China been to the WTA's decision?
So just in the last few minutes, we've had a response from the Chinese government. Their foreign ministry, which is their sort of forward-facing spokespeople for the international press, have said that they oppose politicising sport over the WTA's decision. But it's also worth noting that there hasn't been any actual domestic reporting of this decision, so it's very unlikely that people in China know of it.
Wow. So the president of the International Olympic Committee held a video conference with Peng on November the 21st and said she was doing fine, but that doesn't seem to have changed anybody's mind. Like, why is that?
So there were a few reasons why that sort of didn't give people reassurance. For a couple of weeks, people had been trying to get in touch with Peng Shuai, including the WTA and Steve Simon. The IOC had been resisting calls to openly advocate for her safety. They were saying that they favoured quiet diplomacy. And then when they did speak to her, they released a statement afterwards saying that she was fine, but not offering any sort of evidence that there was no coercion involved in her phone call. They didn't mention the allegations at all, and they have so far refused to release a video. So the questions around sort of what level of coercion or what level of restriction that Peng is under after having made her allegations almost a month ago now, those questions are still pretty live.
Helen, tennis is a huge deal in China economically, culturally. 116 million people watched Li Na back in 2011 win the French Open. And since then, after that win, the country has invested billions into the sport, building stadiums. They host around 10 tournaments a year. There were supposed to be 11 this year. Might this hit them where it hurts?
Look, I think so far China has shown that they are that the politics sort of comes first. We've seen them sacrifice sport before. They blocked the Premier League last year during a political dispute with the UK. In 2019, they blocked NBA broadcasts for a year after an NBA official tweeted in support of the Hong Kong protest. So I'm not really sure that, it's hard to say, but the previous history of how China has responded to these sort of things shows that, that they are willing to cut the sport from the Chinese domestic audience.
Well, and even their current response, you say that they've said they don't like the politicisation of sport. Should we read that as them saying we are not going to budge, or more as an opening gambit and we'll see what happens?
I think it's still very much a wait and see. I mean, from their perspective, very little, or from their response, very little has changed in the last few weeks. There's still massive censorship. There's no reporting of the WTA decision. Almost no one would know about the case unless they saw Peng's post, her initial post last month, or if they were told about it, or if they're reading foreign news through a VPN. Social media is censoring words, including her name, including the word tennis. So there was a social media post that did get through last night where someone referred to tennis as off-table ping pong, but even that was deleted. by today. So there's very strict control over the narrative and the information, like they do with many, many cases. Peng is not the only person who there is cause for concern and who's been potentially detained or disappeared by the Chinese authorities.
Well, we'll see if people notice when tennis tournaments don't happen. Helen, I suppose. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.